Hey guys, today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. First off, I just have to say that this book completely took me by surprise. I had to read this for a college class, and just by reading the back of the book, you really don't get any idea on what the whole concept of the book is. So basically, just by the title, I kind of guessed that it was like a tragic romance book, but it's really like so much more than that. It is a heartbreaking story, and there is a love triangle in the story, but it's not really focused on. Like, there is a way bigger concept in play in this story. So this is a older book, so you might have heard of it, or you might have watched the movie, which was made in 2010, I believe, and it starred Carey Mulligan, Keira Knightley, and Andrew Garfield. I did watch the movie after reading the book, so I will talk about that a little bit later on. Alright, so the story is told by 31-year-old Kathy, who is working at a donor clinic, and it's told in like a very conversational tone. It almost seems like she's talking to somebody. And basically, she's reliving her childhood at this boarding school called Hailsham, leading up to where she is now. So the book is actually split up into 3 different parts, but really I can only talk about the first part of the book without spoiling anything, because there is a huge spoiler you get like probably around halfway through the book, and I don't want to spoil that for you guys right now. I will talk about it later on, and I'll make a little warning beforehand. But going into the book not knowing, I think will make the book so much better. So you really shouldn't look into this book too much. It is honestly a really hard thing to review because the spoiler is just so big. It's like the whole concept of the book is a spoiler. So yeah, I'll just be talking about the first part of the book at Hailsham, which is a exclusive boarding school in the English countryside. So here's where we meet the other 2 main characters, Tommy and Ruth. Ruth is really controlling and bossy, and she always like wants to fit in and look good. Honestly, you don't really like her at the beginning. Like, it takes a long time for her to grow on you, and I definitely ended up appreciating her as a character. I still didn't like her too much. And then there's Tommy, who is a really interesting character. At the beginning, he has these weird temper tantrums, and he gets angry, and basically he wears his emotions on his sleeve, and he doesn't know how to act normal and how to fit in. And because of this, he gets teased quite a bit, but I think he's really the character that grows the most throughout the book, because he learns how to not, like, have these temper tantrums and how to fit in more. But at the same time, you can still tell that he's, like, a really emotional character. And then Kathy, the main protagonist, she's probably the most likable and relatable character. She's kind of like an introvert, and she cares for people a lot. So this first part of the book is actually like my favorite part, and this is where you kind of learn that the school is really mysterious. Like, these kids live there. Yeah, it's a boarding school, but they actually live there, and they don't have any family, really. And then the teachers, or guardians, have these really weird rules. Like, every week, the students have to get, like, a health checkup, and basically it's completely forbidden to smoke. Like, it's a crime if you smoke. And then the students are also forced to work on these art projects, where basically a lady comes, like, later in the year, and she picks the best artwork out of all the students and brings it to a gallery. And then also early on, you learn that the teachers are using kind of like fear tactics, because these kids are not allowed to go into the woods, and they don't want to because they're scared of the woods. They were told a story that a student ran off into the woods one time, and he was found with his hands and feet cut off. So it's good reason for them to be scared. And then at one point, for punishment, a boy is put in front of the window to stare at the forest. And then we also discover that there's these vans that come to the school with stuff from the outside world, and basically it's just junk. Like, there's broken dolls, there's t-shirts and cassette tapes and stuff, but these kids are so excited to get their hands on something from the outside world, and to them it's like they're treasures. So it's just a really mysterious situation at this school, and although this part of the book was kinda slow, it was actually my favorite part of the book, just because of all the mystery, the whole mystery that is going on. I just really like this part of the book. So that's really the only part of the story I can tell you guys about without spoiling anything. But before I move on to spoilers, I'm going to talk about the movie really quick. Now, I did really like the movie. I just kind of thought that it focused a bit too much on the love triangle and not everything else that was going on in the book. But what definitely saved the movie was the cast. The cast they picked was incredible. Like, they were totally the characters in the book. I kind of imagined Ruth to look a bit different, but I still think that they all did a really great job portraying the characters. But if you do plan on reading the book, do not watch the movie first, because it's going to spoil the whole idea, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, so that's it for the non-spoiler part. Next, I'm going to mention the spoiler, so if you do not want to hear it, if you're going to read the book later, then please turn off the video right away. But if you do, not intend to read this book, or you have already read it, then feel free to continue watching. Okay, so hopefully everyone who doesn't want to hear this is gone now, because I'm just going to lay out the spoiler, because it is a big one. It is a very big spoiler. So all the kids at Hillsham are clones. Yeah, they're clones, and they're basically made just to donate their organs later on in life to, I'm guessing, the rich and famous, and they're really passive. I don't know if when they were genetically modifying them, if, they took out their rebellious side. It might just be from the lifestyle that they're used to living. I'm not too sure, but they are very passive. And I know a lot of people didn't like the ending for this book because they kind of expected them to, fight back, to make a clone rebellion or something. But I was really happy with the ending. I'm glad nothing like that happened. I liked how they just remained passive, because it seems more realistic to me, the situation they're put in. But, as a whole, I really don't find this book to be about clones. I feel like Ishiguro wasn't going for that. I feel like he was kind of trying to represent society today, and how we basically just passively go through life. We go to school, and we find a career. All the while, we know that we're just going to die one day. And that's kind of what I think the whole idea of this book is about. I think Ishiguro is just exploring how we as a society just live through life, and we kind of forget that we're going to die. We just kind of try and live our life and do what we're told without focusing on the end. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the book. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on the book if you've read it. So please go ahead and tell me in the comments what you thought of the book, because I really enjoyed it. I did find it to be a bit slow at times, but I still really liked the book. It was so much better than I was expecting. So yeah, I would definitely love to hear your guys' thoughts below, and I'll see you in my next video.